Welcome back, everyone. Before tonight's story begins, tell me where you're watching from. Drop your country and city below. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and turn on the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, dim the lights. Let's begin. I moved into Sycamore Lane in late September of last year. It was one of those picture-perfect suburban streets. Cul-de-sac, trimmed lawns, houses close together, but not too close. Neighbors who actually waved. I had just gotten divorced, and I wanted something quiet, safe. Somewhere my 8-year-old daughter Mia could stay on weekends and actually feel like a kid. All the neighbors kept telling me the same thing. You picked a good time to move here. Halloween on this street is huge. They said kids from other neighborhoods even got dropped off here because the houses went all out. Animatronics, fog machines, people sitting on the porch dressed like statues. The whole thing. So I marked it on my calendar. My ex was keeping Mia that weekend, so I figured I'd at least decorate and hand out candy so the neighbors knew I wasn't the new quiet guy. In the meantime, October rolled in. I learned everyone's names. Mrs. Parker in 12, old guy named Ron in 9, the couple with 3 boys at the corner, even the teenagers who skateboarded at night. It was a good street, safe. Or at least that's what I thought. There was only one house that looked off. It was number 5. Same size, same style, but the blinds were always closed. Never saw a car in the driveway. Never saw anyone walking in or out. The grass was cut, so someone was taking care of it, but I never saw the owner. When I asked Mrs. Parker, she just said, "They don't really socialize." I didn't think much of it. Every street has that house. Then Halloween came. It was a Tuesday that year. I got off work early, put a plastic skeleton on the porch, a bowl of candy, and I sat outside with a hoodie and a beer, just watching kids in costumes go up and down the street. The sun set, and the street looked like a Halloween commercial. Orange lights, laughing, parents with flashlights. It actually made me happy. Around 7:30 p.m., most of the little kids had already come and gone, so it was more school-aged kids now. Groups of 3 to 5. Minecraft, Princess, Scream masks, the usual. Then I saw him. I call him, but honestly, I don't know for sure. He was alone. That was the first weird thing. No parent at the curb, no siblings, no group. Alone. He was wearing what looked like a really old costume, like 1970s older. A dark, dusty-looking coat, black pants, and one of those plastic half masks that only cover the top half of your face, the kind with the rubber band in the back. Except this mask was smiling, not evil, not scary, just that old-timey, fixed smile. He walked slowly up my driveway, holding a pillowcase. "Hey there, buddy," I said, trying to be friendly. "Cool costume." He didn't say trick or treat. He didn't say anything. He just stood there, looking at me through that cheap plastic smile. "Here you go," I said, dropping some candy in. "You from around here?" Nothing, just breathing through the mask. Then, in this quiet, muffled voice, he said, "You're new." For a second, I thought maybe it was one of the neighbor kids messing with me, but I didn't recognize the voice. "Yeah," I laughed it off. "Moved in last month." He tilted his head a little, like he was listening for something behind me. Then he said, "Not everyone here likes new people." I thought, okay, weird kid. I forced a smile. "Well, happy Halloween." He turned around, walked down my driveway, and instead of going to the next house like every other kid did, he crossed the street and walked toward house number 5, the closed one. But he didn't go up to the door. He just stood at the edge of the front lawn, watching it. Then he disappeared between the houses. I remember thinking, whose kid is that? I almost went to tell Mrs. Parker about it, but kids are weird on Halloween. I let it go. I shouldn't have. Halloween ended. Next morning, November 1st, the street was littered with candy wrappers and fake cobwebs. I went to work, came home, normal day. But that night, at around the same time, 9:30 p.m., I heard 2 knocks at the door. Not 3 this time. 2. I immediately checked the porch camera on my phone. Nobody on the porch. No raccoon, no kid. Nothing. I went to the window slowly and pulled the curtain back just an inch. There was no one at the door, but there was someone standing at the end of my driveway. A small figure. Same coat, same half mask. Just standing there in the dark, barely in the streetlight. Halloween was over. Why would a kid be wearing that still? I opened the door halfway and called out, "You need to go home, buddy. Halloween's done." He didn't answer. Then, I swear, he lifted his arm and pointed past me, into my house, like he was pointing at something behind me. Instinctively, I turned to look. Nothing was there. When I looked back, he was gone. Not walking away. Gone. I walked outside to check, thinking maybe he ran, but there was no kid running down the street. No giggling. No footsteps. I checked my camera again. No footage of him walking away. Just empty driveway. Now it was weird enough that I walked over to Mrs. Parker's house the next day. I described the costume, the mask, the weird voice. She frowned and said, "Honey, kids don't usually trick or treat alone on this street. Parents walk with them. You sure it wasn't someone from another street?" "I don't know," I said. He said we, like there were others. She gave me this look. "You know this street used to do a haunted house at number 5, right?" "No," I said. "That house is empty." She shook her head. "Not empty. Just quiet. There was an incident years ago. Halloween night. A kid went missing. Right from this street. Police everywhere. People stopped doing big Halloween stuff after that. Maybe someone's trying to be funny. A kid went missing. On this street. On Halloween. Great. I tried to let it go. For the next 2 days, nothing happened. I went to work, came home, did laundry. I really started convincing myself it was just some neighborhood kid who found an old mask and wanted to creep people out. Then Friday night came. It was raining. Hard. Windy, too. One of those cold November rains that makes the street look shiny and empty. I was in bed around 11, watching videos on my phone with the lights off. That's when I heard it. Not at the door. At the back of the house. A small, light tapping sound. Tap, 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 tap. Exactly like your Airbnb story, actually. The kind of tap that sounds deliberate. My first thought was tree branch, but I don't have a tree back there. My second thought was cat. I got up, went to the kitchen, turned on the back porch light. The light came on, flooding the backyard with that yellow glow. Nothing. I opened the back door a crack and listened. Just the rain. I closed it, locked it, and as soon as I turned around, I heard the tapping again. But this time, it wasn't at the back door. It was at the side window, the one above the sink. I whipped around. Someone was standing right up against the glass. I jumped so hard I almost fell. It was him. The mask was right there on the other side of the glass, rain dripping off it, his head tilted down like he was trying to look in. I yelled, "What the hell are you doing?" He didn't even flinch. His voice came muffled through the glass. We wanted to see. I grabbed the nearest thing, a heavy ceramic mug, and banged it on the glass. Go home. Then, through the glass, and this is what scared me more than anything, another hand slid up next to his on the window, smaller, also gloved, also black. There was another one right beside him. I hadn't seen the second one because it was below the window line. I backed away slowly. They both stood there, 2 masks now, inches from the window, rain on the glass, just watching. I went for my phone and called 911 right there. I told them, there are 2 kids in masks at my window. They won't leave. I'm alone. Please send someone. The dispatcher said someone would be there in 10 to 12 minutes. That was the longest 10 minutes of my life. They moved from window to window. I could hear their footsteps on the wet deck. Kitchen window, then the sliding door, then the small window by the dining room. Every time I looked, they were just there. Not knocking hard, not yelling, not running. Just watching, like they were studying the layout of my house, exactly like the kid said on Halloween. At one point, I swear I heard whispering, not kid giggling, whispering, like they were deciding something. I turned off all the lights inside so they couldn't see me, and I waited in the hallway with a knife, listening to the rain, listening to the faint knocks. Finally, I saw headlights outside. Police. When I opened the door for them, the 2 masked kids were gone. The cops checked the yard with flashlights, checked between the houses, even checked the side gate. Muddy footprints were all over my porch, small ones, 2 sets. They told me what I already knew. It's probably some local kids messing around. We'll drive around for a bit. If it happens again, call us sooner. Sooner. I'd called while they were literally at my windows. I barely slept that night. The next day, Saturday, I'd had enough. I went to the corner house where the couple with the 3 boys lived. If anyone's kids were out late in masks, it would be kids from their house. The dad answered. I asked if his boys had gone out the night before in costumes. He looked confused. No, they were inside all night. It was pouring. Why? I told him about the window thing. His face got serious. You're not the first to say something like that, he said. Ron across the street said he saw someone in his backyard Halloween night too. Small, wearing a mask. He lowered his voice. This happened before, you know. Back when that kid went missing. There were reports of kids trick-or-treating at houses that weren't giving out candy. Houses where nobody lived. Like number 5, I said. He nodded slowly. You haven't seen them go in there, have you? No, I said. But the first night, he walked toward that house. He looked past me at the cul-de-sac, like he was remembering something. The girl that went missing. She was last seen near that house. Cops couldn't prove anything. The owner moved away right after. House got bought by a company. Lights stay off. But kids talk. They dare each other to go over there every Halloween. You saying these are just kids daring each other? I asked, because that didn't feel like a dare. That felt organized. He shrugged. Or someone older is using kids. I don't know. Just lock your doors, man. That night I locked every door and window, closed every curtain, porch light on, back light on, TV on. I was not in the mood. It was around 11:45 p.m., almost midnight, when I heard it. Not knocking, my doorknob. The sound of someone trying it, softly, testing it. I muted the TV. The knob jiggled again. Then, from the other side of the door, a small voice. "You locked it." I felt anger push through the fear. "Yes," I shouted, "because you can't just come to people's houses at midnight." Silence. Then another voice, higher pitched, almost excited. "He's mad. He's mad. He's mad." I grabbed my phone and started recording. If the cops weren't going to believe me, I'd get it on video. "Leave," I said. Then, and this was the worst part, a third voice. Not a kid's voice, a deeper one. Calm, standing further back from the door. "Did you see inside?" The kid's voice answered. "A little." "Enough?" the deeper voice asked. "We know where the rooms are," the kid said. I swear to God that's what I heard. Through my own front door. On a quiet cul-de-sac in a safe neighborhood. I didn't say anything after that. I just called 911 again. I whispered, "They're back. But there's an adult with them this time." The dispatcher said they'd sent someone. I kept recording. I heard footsteps on my porch. More than 2, 3, 4. Then the footsteps went off the porch. I ran to the front window and carefully lifted the curtain. What I saw made my stomach flip. 4 figures walking down my driveway. 2 small, the kids in masks. 2 taller, adults. They weren't wearing costumes, just dark clothes and hoods, like they didn't want to be recognized. All 4 of them walked down to the street and then turned toward house number 5. They didn't go to the sidewalk. They crossed the lawn and walked right up to the side of the dark house, like they'd done it 100 times. The 2 kids disappeared behind it. The 2 adults followed. By the time the police got there, the street was empty again. I showed them the video. They watched it, exchanged looks, and one of them said, "We'll go knock at 5. They did. No one answered. Of course. They said they couldn't just break in without cause. They said they'd note it. I slept with a knife that night. Sunday morning, I decided I was done being quiet. I walked right up to number 5 in broad daylight. The blinds were closed. The porch was dusty. No car, no sign of life. But there was something taped to the door. A plastic Ziploc bag. Inside was a printed photo. I felt my hands go cold as I pulled it out. It was a photo of my house, taken from across the street, taken at night, taken on Halloween. I was on the porch in the picture, handing out candy, smiling. Behind me, in the dark of my hallway, in the open front door, there was the faint outline of a third small figure standing inside my house. I know for a fact nobody came inside, which means the person who took the photo added that, or they had another angle of my house, or worse. Someone did step in while I was talking to the first kid, and I didn't notice. I brought the photo straight to the police station. The officer at the desk took it seriously this time. He said he'd attach it to the report from the calls. He said they'd talk to the property company that owns number 5. That was 3 weeks ago. No arrests, no updates. I bought extra locks, motion lights, cameras for the sides of the house. I even asked my ex if Mia could stay away from my place for a few weeks. I didn't tell her why, just said I had work stuff. I still live on Sycamore Lane. Halloween decorations are still up on some porches because people here are lazy. I watch my cameras every night now. I don't sit outside. I don't open the door unless I see an adult. I never saw those 2 masked kids again. But 2 nights ago, around 2:15 a.m., my side camera picked up motion. I opened the clip. The video showed the street, dark, empty, quiet. Then far down the sidewalk, right at the edge of the frame, a small figure in a dark coat walked past. Alone. Not coming to my house, not stopping, just walking down the street toward number 5, like he lives there, like he always lived there, like Halloween never ended. What do you think really happened on Sycamore Lane? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, lock your doors, and remember, sometimes Halloween never really ends.